Patient pack of a drug contains 56 tablets. If a patient needs to take one tablet 4 times a day for 4 weeks, how many packs should be supplied? This is something you'll see come up in a number of these questions where there's a lot of different ways we can ask about dosages. We can ask you for how much drug is there involved in just one dose. Another value that comes up a lot is how much do they get in an entire day. And the last thing we could ask for is how much medication is given in the entire course of treatment before we just stop giving the medication. Because there are some things that'll be like, take 2 aspirin 3 times a day, do this for 2 weeks. So the dose would be 2 aspirin. For a day, you'd have to figure out 2 aspirin times 3 times a day. And course of treatment, you'd be multiplying by 14 because 14 days in 2 weeks. Let's see what happens with that here, where we've got 1 tablet. This is the dose, 1 tablet. They don't say how big the tablets are, but every time you take this stuff, you take 1 tablet. You're supposed to do that 4 times in a day, so multiply this by 4, and you get that you're going to go through 4 tablets in a day. And now 4 weeks, 4 times 7 is 28, so there are 28 days here. We went 1 times 4 to get our 4 tablets, times 28 gives you, I believe that's 112 tablets that this person will need for the entire course of treatment. So if they're not getting any refills, the pharmacy is going to have to give them 112 tablets all at once. Now, none of this involved any cross multiplication. It could have, but I think it's simpler to lay these out like this, where you find your dose amount, your day amount, and then your course of treatment amount. It's just multiplication, normally with whole numbers. So I think this is more streamlined than trying to set up a bunch of cross multiplications here. For the packs, though, let's get a cross multiplication in just because we can. They say a pack of this drug contains 56 tablets. So 1 pack is 56 tabs, short version of tablets. And the question is, how many packs do we have to give to get 112 tablets? Cross multiply, 1 times 112 is 112 divided by 56, and we get exactly 2 packs. So they cooked this one so the numbers would come out nice. Something to point out here, what if we'd gotten, say, 1.4 packs? How many would you give the patient? We do a lot of questions where we teach you about rounding, and we say, if you had to round this, you'd say it's less than 1.5, so we'd take it down to 1, but that wouldn't be enough, would it? When you're giving things like medication, it's critical that you give them enough, and so if you had to give 1.4 packs and you could only give them 1 or 2, you'd have to give them 2 and just accept that some of that medication is going to go to waste. 1 pack would not be enough, so you have to round up. Even if you came up with something like 1.01 packs, technically that would mean you'd have to give them 2. This means 1 is not going to be enough. You'd have to round up, even though it means some meds get wasted. That comes up occasionally in these problems, not too often, but it's something to think about, that the rounding for things like this, where it's essential that you not undercut somebody, or shortchange somebody, rather, so you don't follow the normal rounding rules. Let's see what happens with this syrup stuff down here. How much of syrup B should a patient be taking daily if a prescription calls for 15 milligrams every 6 hours? So again, we're going to have information about the dose, the amount in a day, and I'm going to put in course of treatment just to remind you about it, but I don't think we're actually going to be able to answer that part in this question. They say a dose is 15 milligrams. Every 6 hours, What does that have to do with the amount per day? There's a couple ways you can think about this. You can say 6 goes into 24 4 times. So you could fit in 4 doses in a day like this, and you could do 15 times 4 is 60 milligrams. That works fine, and if you did that, good for you. The other version is we could do a cross multiplication for this. We could say if you do 15 milligrams every 6 hours, now I'm going to do something slightly wrong here, and then we're going to fix it. How many milligrams are we taking in one day? What's wrong with that? We've been saying that these units have to match, so milligrams to milligrams is all right, but 6 hours to one day is not so good. These have to be the same unit. Can we make that happen? Is there another way to say one day? You bet there is. One day is 24 hours, and now we're set. Now we have milligrams to milligrams, hours to hours, and now we can cross multiply. 15 times 24 is 360, divided by 6 is 60 milligrams. Same answer we got before. We can't do the course of treatment part for this one because they don't say how long this treatment goes on. If they said 15 milligrams every 6 hours for a week or something like that, then we could fill in this last space, but in this case, we did not need to.